Oh boy. Right now, with all the gloomy and doomy news about trans rights at the moment, and just LGBT rights across the board, it really must feel like the world is against trans kids. Like, if you're a youth who is trans, it really must feel like the world is against you right now. But I really hope this news story helps to kind of change that a little bit, because Biden seems to have made clear that he stands with trans people, particularly trans youth. Biden Title 11 rules set to protect trans students, survivors of abuse. The Biden administration on Friday finalized sweeping new rules barring schools from discriminating against transgender students and ordering significant changes for how schools adjudicate claims of sexual harassment and assault on campus. This is literally just the based bill. This is literally just the you can't ignore claims of sexual assault or abuse on campus, and also you can't discriminate against trans kids. Like, just the most based bill. Like, hey, the actually protecting kids bill. As you can imagine, this actually protecting kids bill got the right real fucking mad. They are furious over this. Yeah, they should have just called it the based bill. The provisions regarding gender identity are the most politically fraught, feeding an election year culture clash with conservative states and school boards that have limited transgender rights in schools, ban discussion of gender identity in classrooms, and remove books with LGBTQ+ themes. Mindful of the politics, the administration is delaying action on the contentious issue of whether transgender girls and women should be allowed to compete in women's and girls' sports. That is honestly smart. As much as the general, population is not in favor of, the hyper anti-trans policy the right has taken to, the one pro-trans position that is extremely unpopular with the general public is the claim that trans kids and trans athletes should be able to compete with the sports team of their gender they identify with. As much as you guys might not like it, overwhelmingly, the trans sports stuff is the most popular take the right has on trans issues. And that's why even the Democrats, even Biden, are like, let's take a bit off of ruling on this one, because if we make the pro-trans ruling here, we are going to ostracize the majority of Americans, because the majority of Americans do not believe that trans people should be able to compete in the sports of the gender they identify as. It sucks, but that is a battle that we have not won the hearts and minds of people on, unfortunately. The right have fully successfully counter-messaged when it comes to trans sports. It is their, wedge issue on trans stuff is trans sports. That is the right's wedge issue that they really have solid. So it's understandable that Biden's trying to avoid it, because for Biden, it will make him look bad if he backs the trans sports thing. It will hurt his chances of winning again. I hate to say it, but that's just the reality. I've looked into the stats on what the average support among Americans is for each individual issue. Trans sports, very low. Pro-trans sports stuff, very low support from the average American. The long-awaited regulation represents the administration's interpretation of Title 11, a 1972 law that bars sex discrimination in schools that receive federal funding. Title 11 is known for ushering in equal treatment for women in sports, but it also governs how schools handle complaints of sexual harassment and assault, a huge issue on many college campuses. Now the Biden administration is deploying the regulation to formalize its long-standing view that sex discrimination includes discrimination based on gender identity as well as sexual orientation, a direct challenge to conservative policies across the country. I love that Biden is, kind of the perfect progressive right now, low-key. In that everything that he's done has been effective and has resulted in demonstrable statistical improvements to people's lives in his rhetoric and his political advocacy and movements ever since he became president. And yet he doesn't go he knows when to draw the line. He knows when a policy decision, despite how based it might be, is a political career ender, because America's just not ready for it yet. He knows when to draw it back and get people on board before getting them the full potato, you know what I'm saying? Which I kind of appreciate. He knows how to play to an audience, and right now his audience is the entire country. Some school districts will not use the pronouns corresponding with a trans student's gender identity. 10 states, for instance, require transgender students to use bathrooms and locker rooms that assign with their biological sex identified at birth, according to tracking by the Movement Advancement Project. Some school districts will not use the pronouns corresponding with a trans student's gender identity. Those situations might constitute violations of Title 11 under the new regulation. In addition, if a school failed to protect or to properly address bullying based on gender identity or sexual orientation, that could be a violation of federal law. Hell yeah. State law when federal law comes along. This is going to be argued by the right as a big-time states' rights thing. Absolutely it will be. Quote, no one should face bullying or discrimination just because of who they are or who they love. Sadly, this happens all too often. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona told reporters in a conference call. The Education Department's Office of Civil Rights Investigations, of Civil Rights for Civil Rights, investigates allegations of sex discrimination, among other things, and schools that fail to come into compliance risk losing federal funding. A senior administration officer said that the office could investigate cases where schools were potentially discriminating, even if they were following their own state's law. Yes! These state laws in red states won't even protect these schools from discriminating against trans people if this federal law is applied. 1 second. Hopefully YouTube will load. I think I saw... Yeah. Biden administration to expand Title 11 protections. Yeah, this seemed like it was a really good summary of what this would entail.
Morning, the Biden administration expanding Title IX protections. Title IX prohibits discrimination.
Listen, I'm bad at Roman numerals, okay? I saw the X and the I, and I knew it was either 9 or 10, and I took the gamble, and I was wrong.
Based on gender. Well, for LGBTQ...
9 or 11, my bad.
And pregnant students now included under Title IX. The new rule requiring schools to protect students from all sex discrimination, including childbirth, and terminating or recovering from a pregnancy. It also prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation.
Wait, that wasn't included before. This is big. Wait. This bill acknowledges, like, nearly every culture war thing the Republicans have been pushing on a state level.
Sex discrimination, including childbirth, and terminating or recovering from a pregnancy.
It would federally criminalize discrimination based on childbirth, terminating a pregnancy, or that's actually fucking crazy. Like, that includes so much. This is literally the anti-Republican culture war bill. This is even more based than I knew it was when I, like, heard about this and planned to cover this segment. It's more based than I even knew. Domain expansion. God.
It also prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and sex characteristics in federally funded education programs. The Biden administration is also expanding the definition of sexual harassment. These new rules...
Sexual harassment? Okay. Listen, I've mispronounced things too. I mean, like, one thing you gotta understand is that the right heavily relies on... Okay. How am I gonna put this into, like... the best words I can? You guys know that I'm not, like, cringe, so I don't think I need to be too careful with the way that I word this take, because I know you guys aren't gonna just, like, assume that I'm, like, mask off, like, bigoted here, like, if I don't word this right. But when I was a conservative, there were a lot of ideas that almost seemed like they were a given. They weren't ideas that were even the kind of thing you would ever think to check. Or, like, fact check, if that makes sense. And one of these ideas, for the sake of example, when it comes to trans stuff, is the safety of allowing kids to have access to trans-affirming care. Now, even when I was a relatively pro-trans, pre-conservative type, when I was younger, I would have defaulted to, it's probably not okay to give any form of gender-affirming care to minors, as a default take. Because the idea that even the average trans positive normie has is not, they don't have like a full understanding of what being trans is or what gender dysphoria is. As far as they know, it is just a choice or a lifestyle that people choose for themselves, and they just accept it or don't care, or don't see it as so much of a problem that's worth attacking. That is where a lot of people who are not like homophobic or not transphobic come from. They just don't care enough to hate. And if they see people caring enough to hate, that puts them off more. The problem is when those people have ideas informed by that ignorance, because even if that ignorance hasn't led them to hate, that ignorance can still lead them to wrong ideas. And so when I was in that position, ideas like, can it really be safe for kids to get gender-affirming care? What if they change their mind? Arguments like, are there really, what can I think of? Are there really any racist policies in America anymore? Can you point to a single bill or policy where in the writing of it, it says it's okay to discriminate based on race or gender? No, we've got bills that say the opposite. Like, there are a lot of these lines of logic that seem like they make sense, and they seem like common sense is usually what they'll be called. So much so that there's no point in thinking about, questioning, or fact-checking these ideas. And those starting positions are what the right takes so much advantage of. The idea that, you know, I'm pro-trans and all, but, you know, kids transitioning doesn't sound right to me. I think they should have to wait till they're 18 just in case. You know, what's the harm in that? A lot of people don't know what the harm is in that. You know, they don't understand why that's a dumb take to begin with, and they don't know why enforcing that take isn't just being safer than sorry, but it's actually detrimental and overcorrective. And that idea needs to be explained to convince people to get away from like the more radical right-wing positions they may go towards. But the right takes advantage of that. They tell you, oh, you don't agree with the idea of transitioning kids? Well, all these left-wingers want to do it. I mean, look at them. Look how mad they get when you say we shouldn't transition kids. You know, if they want to transition kids, isn't it kind of grooming if they want to do that? Yeah, they kind of are groomers. Yeah, you know, you're kind of right. Maybe they are groomers. And then from there, once they're like calling trans people kind of groomers, or they kind of agree with that, it is not hard to get them to a much more hateful place from there, because they already started from a place of like neutral ignorance. And the right weaponized that ignorance to turn it into hateful ignorance. Did any of what I just said make sense? Because this is literally the path I went down, going from like a marginally progressive, centrist-y, apolitical, just Zoomer, getting radicalized to the right in my teenage years, and then what I realized about my political evolution, or I should say de-evolution, as I got older. The right's really good at taking advantage of people who, just like these normies, common sense ideas. A good example of that being the trans sports stuff, which is a big part of why Biden didn't expand Title IX out to the trans sports stuff just yet. I know that the right's reaction to it has been angry. Oh my God. Oh, yep, here we go. Megyn Kelly uploaded a video 2 days ago how Biden's Title IX rules will ruin men and boys' due process on campuses with Casey Johnson. So, of course, their reaction to, we will take allegations of sexual assault and rape seriously if they come from, like, female students, or if a student, like, makes a claim. Their response to that is to say, this is going to ruin
potentially
men.
To see all the...
Because, of course, conservatives believe that all men want to rape, and that... like, the only thing that keeps them from doing it is the belief that God will send them to hell for doing it.
It is amazing that you can actually convict a student, that's effectively what these kangaroo courts do, of sexual assault, rape, take away his college career, his scholarship, if any, his future
Are they talking about Brock Turner?
Prospects in corporate America, without the right to cross-examine. With no right.
This was literally the line of defense for Brock Turner, by the way. The swimmer that, like, raped a girl behind a dumpster. You guys remember that? I know about that because I was in the swim team when that shit happened, and it was like, man, our sport has taken a bit of a hit today, hasn't it? That's pretty rough. Whom the fuck is Megyn Kelly? One of the conservative blondes produced in that factory out in the Midwest where they make these things.
right to cross-examine or even potentially to see all the evidence, and in front of a body that is nowhere near qualified to hear such evidence, and, as you've pointed out repeatedly, is always stacked in favor of the accuser.
I mean, the biggest change in these regulations, the current regulations require all of the things that you just mentioned: a hearing, cross-examination, all access to the evidence. The current regulations allow, or these new regulations.
So, is the right running with the "Me Too has gone too far" perspective on this?
Will allow for a school's title.
These are the guys saying. These are the people saying all trans and gay people are groomers and pedophiles because they're pro-trans and they like want to support trans kids. Meanwhile, whenever a bill is expanded to help protect kids from like sexual assault and rape and sexual harassment as written in the bill, they're like, well, listen, we've got to think about how this can affect men. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. Like, if trans people being worried about the right making their existence a crime against children, punishable by the death penalty, is a self-report in their worldview, what is this?
9 coordinator herself. She doesn't even have to hire anyone to do this, to conduct all of the investigation. There'll be no hearing at all. Instead, there'll be individual interviews with the witnesses. The accused student will not see or hear in real time the questions that are being asked of his accuser, won't be able to hear that testimony in real time. And then the single investigation.
All this sounds really reasonable if your mind has been poisoned by the false allegations rampant on the internet. It seems like these days every like other allegation made against a popular figure online is proven false with like definitive evidence these days. And it's usually a woman who pushes the allegations with like the goal of getting clout or something out of it. I mean, let's not lie. Like this happens all the time. Like there've been a lot of celebrities online who have had women make false allegations about them that have been proven false, and it was done for clout. It's happened to me. It's happened to Slazo. It's happened to countless content creators. Hell, it recently happened to Chugga Conroy. And like, when your brain and perspective are poisoned by internet trends of like everything online being about success and popularity and clout, and everybody being willing to do the most insane shit ever for popularity and success and clout, when that internet meta ruins your mind and you hear shit like this, you start to think that there's going to be girls on college campuses making up allegations about like a popular dude for clout. That is so exceptionally rare. To get any justice for this kind of stuff in real life, you need to go to the police and provide evidence and be part of a criminal investigation. Online, you just have to write a twit longer and get a bunch of attention for it. That's why it happens so much online, but not in real life. There's no clout or likes to gain from this in a real-life college setting. On the internet, it's very different, but people are so brain poisoned by the false allegations online, the whole "Me Too has gone too far" shit, that they think this shit carries over to real life. It just doesn't. For every guy that whose career is ruined by a false allegation on the internet, 100,000 women a day are raped or something like that. Probably not that many, but like countless women every day are raped for every one man who gets a false allegation on the internet, okay? So we need to keep in mind that like online, yeah, the skepticism probably more warranted because there are perverse incentives there, but in real life, it's happened, but boy is it fucking rare.
Without any hearing at all will be able to pass judgment. And as you pointed out, this is not a criminal court, right? But the life-altering effects.
It's not even a criminal court. It's not even a criminal court. It's just taking seriously allegations. By the way, college campuses are rife with sexual assault and sexual abuse. Like, young men roofing, date raping, abusing women is fucking constant, okay? It's fucking all the time. God, how specific can I be with this? A friend of mine, relatively recently, had a terrifying situation happen at their college that I won't go into details about because it was in the news. And, like, it was, like, fucking wild. But, like, there's some weird sexual harassy gender dynamic shit that happens even in colleges, in the woke colleges, where young men get violent, sexually violent, aggressive with women, and do really fucked up shit. And in some cases, the colleges protect them. Brock Turner had an entire movement to try and protect him because he was such a big-time college swimmer. Hell, wasn't the judge saying something like he has such a bright future ahead of him, we don't want to destroy it, with charging him for this, like, violent rape he committed? Like, it was an assault rape. Like, it wasn't, like, roofie date rape. It was the, like, Law and Order SVU opening violent kind behind a dumpster in an alley. And like the lawyers were saying, well, this young man, you know, he's at the start of his life. We don't want to ruin it. You know, we don't want to ruin this young man's life. I mean, Brock Allen Turner, who's going by his middle name now to escape what he did, that Brock Allen Turner. Oh, he's going by Allen Turner now to try to escape that? Ah, yes, thank you for letting me know, Astronaut Lad. Brock Allen Turner, I will specify. The rapist Brock Allen Turner. Yes.
Of a guilty finding in a Title IX process are, you know, they're just that. They ensure that the student is likely to be expelled. The chances of getting into graduate school are zero. It will be on their resume for the rest of their lives, and so any chance.
Oh, boo-hoo! Rapists can't get into good jobs. It sucks so much. Oh no! Oh no! Let's read the comments. How can this possibly be legal? These schools need to be sued out of existence. As the mother of 3 young men, I am disgusted by this. Oh, you know exactly what kind of boy mom this is. You know, like the super hyper, like misandrist, man-hating boy moms who like hate their sons and torture their sons their entire upbringing because they hate men so much. This is the opposite side of that coin, where it's like the mom that enables their awful fucking sons because they love their sons so much that they don't believe their sons could even be like bad men, you know? And they'll defend and enable anything they do. It's the opposite side of that coin, just as abusive and awful, but, you know. Do you mean moms with a pedophile tendency? No, I mean like the kind of moms that will defend their pedophile son because like they're just enablers of like bad behavior. Yeah. Why men aren't getting married to, working with, or talking to women anymore. So in line with like the average conservative comment, this is very broken English for some reason. It's probably, how much of these like broken English conservative comments that you see online, they're always in broken English. How many of them do you think are Russian bot accounts? Like, it makes me wonder sometimes, how can the average conservative be so bad at grammar? Like, they can never even form a proper sentence. Are they not American? Are conservatives online overwhelmingly English second language, or are they English second language in the sense they're Russian bot accounts? It's hard to say. You know, it'd be nice if normal people learn how to do research. It's always funny when you see, like, the conservative, like, cowboy hat profile picture accounts on Twitter with an American flag in the background, and then you look at their tweet destination, and they forget to, like, turn off location tweeting, and it's Moscow, Russia. Have you guys seen that shit? When, like, a big, like, claims to be an American cowboy-type dude account forgets to turn off location data on a tweet, and it shows as being from Russia? How many times have you guys seen that? I've seen it like 5 times so far. This year. Boy moms mentioned, relevant meme. Wait, which type of boy mom is this gonna be?
Coming down this hallway.
Hey man, I don't know what your deal is, but we have to get out of here.
I'm a murderer. Why would I be running away? You should be running away.
There's a boy mom following me.
What?
A boy mom.
Oh, God. But this is a dead end.
Oh, God damn
Sweetheart,
it.
I'm sorry, but she'll never be good enough for my son, my baby boy.
Jesus Christ.
Ma'am, I don't know your son.
Of course you don't. You'll never know him like I do. Like his mommy knows him.
I don't know him at
Lady,
all.
can you calm down? No one wants your son.
I do. I want my son.
That's weird. Why don't you understand
You'll
that?
never understand the connection a mother has with her
My
son.
mom and I weren't like that.
And look how you turned out.
You shouldn't be competing with other women for your son.
That is a funny response, though, and look how you turned out to the mass murderer. That is actually pretty funny. Mom response, though.
Son's affection.
That's accurate.
I'm not trying to date my son. He will simply never find a woman capable of making him happier than I can.
Is that a young woman trying to hit on your son? I think
What?
it is.
Where?
I'm gonna go home and scrub all my skin off and give myself a lobotomy.
Real. Yeah, no, pretty much, Balth. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of lays it out. That kind of lays it out pretty much. Like the super hyper enabler type. Whenever the axe murderer is doing the please stop, can you please stop this nonsense bit? You know it's bad, Lamau. Yeah. This is only going to push men and women further apart. If I'm a man and I was going to college these days, I wouldn't even speak to women. It's just too risky. I love this, like, idea that these, like, incel sexless men try to push, where it's like, ah, yes, all these women are going to get their due justice when they're lonely and boyfriend or husbandless in the future, because all of us men are too afraid to speak to them because of how far feminism has gone to put us down and call us all rapists, you know? It's really like the temper tantrum equivalent of like, oh, you don't want to date me? Well, now you'll never be able to date me. Like, okay, like, yeah, that women are so upset that, like, you'll never date them because you think that they'll falsely accuse you of rape because that's the kind of guy you are. Yeah, I'm sure they're really never going to get over it, you know? Christ. Anyway, I'm curious what you guys think of this whole situation. Comment down below. I think Biden's bill is based, and I think it's hilarious the right is melting down over it. Comment down below what you guys think, though. I love reading your comments, and the comments, of course, boost the channel a whole hell of a lot, so I really do appreciate it. And, of course, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications. It really helps a lot and means a lot to me if you haven't already. And, of course, consider following my social medias linked down below, as well as, supporting me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, or financially supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Streamelements, or Patreon. And you can buy merch through my Streamlabs link down below as well. And don't forget to join my fan Discord. We've got an awesome community. We do all sorts of community events like watch parties, call-in streams, and it's just a fun time. So consider joining the Discord. Everything down below is linked in the description. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.